future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello friends, this is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today's June 16th, 2026. A lot of sixes today. Almost 4 sixes. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. We have quite a bit of news to get to today. We have these foiled terror attacks by the FBI. At least one of them, when you read the article, they admit that it was staged by the FBI. As per usual, it's just all so ridiculous. But hey, we need to give up our rights for a police state because the FBI stages up fake terror attacks. Freedom, America, all that. Back the blue, bro. We got the back and forth on Iran peace deal. I honestly don't see how it's going to happen. We are throwing a whole lot of money at them. I did some rough calculations we'll go over here now. And on the high end, and I believe it's going to be a lot higher than this if all this billions of dollars we're allegedly giving Iran, it's going to be a lot higher than this. But according to my high calculations, cost $33 million per dead Iranian. And so we're not doing very good on the AI push for everything must be maximize efficiency. We've totally failed on that front as far as the cost of killing Iranians. We'll take a look at those numbers. Again, the back and forth. J.D. Vance, Mr. Technocracy, he's making the rounds in the media today trying to explain away the debacle that is the Iran war. We'll take a look at that. A little bit of that, not too much. J.D. Vance, I can't handle it. We'll check in on his black eyeliner, I guess. Hillary Clinton's even out there. So we'll take a look. Hillary Clinton's out there in the media. And so we'll take a look at what she has to say. Still looking for trail of bodies behind her, maybe. What else do we got today? We got economic news. We have Epstein news. We have Peter Thiel's, it's now leaked out, Peter Thiel's secret society Dialog network. We'll take a look at the reporting on that. Some crazy stuff going on there. We'll look at the fallout of the police state over there in UK. A little bit more reported on yesterday, banning 16 and unders from social media. A little bit of Epstein reporting. Some more geopolitical news here. And the ongoing, they're still bombing Lebanon, bro. I don't know how we're going to have a peace deal with Iran. We have the leaked details of the MOU. We'll go over. It hasn't, I don't know. It's not 100% confirmed. We'll take a look and go over what is out there. And the genocide in Gaza, as per usual, continues. They're stacking Palestinians every day. Shout out to those coming on in the chat here. All right, let's get to this day in history and get to all this news that we have for you today. We didn't go that far back on this June 16th. June 16th, we go back to the year 1779, where we see Spain declares a war on Great Britain in support of France and the USA, starting the Great Siege of Gibraltar, which lasts 3 years, 7 months, and 2 weeks. Back here in America, on this day, 1779, U.S. General Anthony Wayne captures Stony Point, New York, inflicting heavy losses on the British. On this day, 1784, Holland forbids the wearing of orange clothes. On this day, 1858, then President Abraham Lincoln says, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," accepting the Illinois plutonium, the Illinois Republican Party's nomination for the Senate. On this day, 1873, we saw the Nez-Perce Decree. Then U.S. President Ulysses S. Grant sets aside part of Wawona Valley in Oregon for the Native American tribe Nez-Perce. The order is rescinded 2 years later, and the tribe is forcibly relocated to a reservation in Oklahoma. I don't know. Should we trust the U.S. government? Maybe we should ask the Indians. Just saying. 1893 on this day, we saw German-American F.W. Ruckenheim introduces Cracker Jack brand snack food consisting of caramel-coated popcorn and peanuts. And nowadays, it feels like we get our foreign policy out of a box of Cracker Jacks. Just saying. And for the global warmers, the climate changers, on this day in 1896, we saw the temperature in the Mojave Desert here in California hit 127. And so we got to get to net zero some way. We were even facing this problem in 1896. 1903 on this day, and we did see some major founding of corporations on this day. 1903, Ford Motors is incorporated under Henry Ford. And Pepsi Cola is trademarked by inventor Caleb Bradham on this day, 1903. 1913, very bad year for America and the rest of the world. Spin off of the Anglo-American establishment, the Rhodes, right? On this day, 1913, South African government passed the Segregationist Native Land Act, which restricts purchase or lease of land by Native Africans. So we do appreciate the apartheid state of South Africa there. In 1933, another big year, 33, U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, is created. And that's, of course, well, they tell you, don't worry about bank failure. Your money's safe. It's protected by the FDIC. But if we ever do have a massive bank failure, they don't have enough money to cover all accounts on deposit. So keep that in mind when they sell you the lie that this is a totally secure and safe banking system. Wait till the big crash hits, and we'll see about how FDIC pays out depositors. And never forget, also, every time you make a deposit to a bank, you're actually, in reality, technically giving them an unsecured loan at 0% interest. And they act like they're somebody or something by taking your money and play this whole psych game on you. But it's an unsecured loan at 0% interest that the bank turns around through the magic of fractional reserve banking and leverages 100 times out of your deposit. So keep that in mind. 1944 on this day, very tragic. George Steiny is executed. George Steiny, a 14-year-old African-American boy, is wrongfully executed for the murder of two white girls, becoming the youngest person ever executed. in the 21st century. Turns out he didn't do it, but hey, he was black, and in 1944, that was good enough. This poor 14-year-old boy executed in America. Also, we have another also in 1944, on this day, U.S. bombs Japan, Kyushu, Japan. A lot of killing by America on this day, 1944. 1947, on this day, Pravda denounces the Marshall Plan. Soviet newspaper Pravda denounces the Marshall Plan as a tool of U.S. economic and political control. You should have won World War II, Soviets. Right? Right. That's what they tell us anyway. On this day, 1960, the Alfred Hitchcock film Psycho was released. That's Psycho. 1962, on this day, 2 U.S. Army officers are killed in Saigon. 1977, on this day, Oracle Corporation is incorporated in Redwood Shores, California, as Software Development Laboratories, SDL, by Larry Ellison, Bob Miner, and Ed Oates. And the CIA, they leave that part out, but with venture capital funding from InQtel, the venture capital arm of the CIA. And side note, Larry Ellison is the largest single donor to the IDF outside of the Aardvarkland government. So he is the largest individual donor there. I'm sure it's nothing to do with InQtel money, though. 1980, on this day, The Blues Brothers was released. And so that's a great film. We are on a mission from God. Also in 1980, on this day, U.S. Supreme Court rules that live human-made microorganisms created in labs could be patentable in the case Diamond versus Carapacrete tree. On this day in 2015, what started it all, the spiral into idiocracy we now find ourselves. On this day, 2015, TV personality and real estate mogul Donald Trump launches his campaign for Republican nomination for U.S. president at Trump Tower. Remember, he went down the escalator just like it was planned out on The Simpsons, just like predictive programming in the Masonic theater we call American politics. On this day in 2017, Amazon announces it is buying Whole Foods for $13.7 billion. And then we have a few items on this day in our civil liberties history we'll take a look at here. We'll go back first to the year 1915. On this day in our civil liberties history, University of Pennsylvania fires Scott Nearing over radical economic views. The University of Pennsylvania on this day fired Professor Scott Nearing, an economist with the Wharton School of Business, because members of the trustees were upset over his radical views on economics. Nearing then taught at the University of Toledo, but was fired in 1917 because of his vocal opposition to U.S. participation in World War I. And so if we ever do go full war, it's all declared constitutionally, they will turn the screws and start coming after anti-war protesters. Just like they did in World War I. worse than anything we've ever seen. Better believe it. On this day in 1918, Eugene versus Debs gives anti-war speech. Eugene V. Debs gives anti-war speech, gets 10 years in prison. Socialist Party leader Eugene V. Debs delivered an anti-war speech in Canton, Ohio on this day at a rally organized by a local Socialist Party. Justice Department agents were in the audience, and Debs was very aware of the dangers of federal prosecution. As a result, he carefully did not mention World War I or criticize President Woodrow Wilson. The speech was generic socialist criticism of war. Nonetheless, he was prosecuted for violating the Espionage Act and sentenced to 10 years in prison. And then finally, on this day in 1967, LBJ orders no wiretapping, sort of, in a memorandum to all executive department heads by Attorney General Ramsey Clark on this day on behalf of President Lyndon Baines Johnson. The Justice Department banned wiretapping by federal agencies. This memo was a follow-up to an early memorandum on June 30th, 1965, because LBJ's instructions were in the form of a memorandum. However, they did not have the force of a law that an executive order would have had. Johnson is the only president to publicly oppose wiretapping as a basic law enforcement tool, although importantly, he always allowed for a national security exception. Of course he did. Of course he did. All right, where's our segue to the news here? Yeah, here's our segue to the news. Rabbi-looking dude on the Fox News says, to be an aardvark today sometimes is like the humans that come to the planet of the apes and meeting people like him. And so he's essentially calling the Goyim apes, and we do appreciate his bigotry and racism against all other peoples.
Jillian, when I was coming into the studio, I was thinking, what can I compare this to? Do you remember the movie Planet of the Apes? The human people that came to the planet, all of a sudden, you're weird, you're the killer, you're the rotten person, because they believed in all the evils that was unproven. To be a Jew today sometimes is like the humans that come to the Planet of the Apes and meeting people like him and like, where'd you get this from? Why do you think this way? And it's almost impossible to talk to these people, to reason to these people, because hate is an emotion. It's not intellect.
They're allowed unlimited hate because of the size of their hats, apparently. Quite amazing. Here's G7 puppet front people here fronting the one world government. What a cast of characters here at the G7. With Trump and the Sun King Macron there. A prominent right-wing commentator in Aardvark land is denouncing Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff for negotiating the Iran deal and turning their backs on their homeland. Out of a Channel 14 anchor, here it is, Tal Mirror used her Monday morning program to criticize Kushner and Witkoff, accusing them of turning their backs on Aardvark land at the moment of truth. They got a little confused in this event, Murr said. According to Channel 14, you are part of these people. Murr argued that Aardvark land was defending the Aardvark people as a whole, including Aardvarks living outside the country. We are here, among other things, to defend you too, she said. In the end, this is your real home, and we are guarding it for you and for your future generations. And you turn your backs on us like this, simply losers. Well, Kushner and Witkoff started the war. I mean, come on, bro. So they tell us now, that is the FBI, they claim they foiled a terrorist attack that was going to hit UFC Freedom 250. Let's take a look at this ridiculous report. I have a hard time believing any of this. We'll get to the next ISIS-inspired attack foiled by the FBI after this report, and that will give you some insight into why I question all of these foiled terror attacks by the FBI. The FBI foiled an alleged terror plot to attack Sunday's Ultimate Fighting Championship event at the White House, arresting at least 5 people from across the nation in the process. This is a report out of NBC News. 5 people were arrested by the FBI in connection with the would-be attack and were armed with thousands of rounds of ammunition, AR-15 rifles, tactical gear, radios, and laser pointers. They had detailed plans of what kind of attack they wanted to carry out, where they wanted to do it, when they wanted to do it, and how they wanted to do it. The investigation into the plot has been a multi-agency response from federal, state, and local enforcement, with the U.S. Secret Service leading the way. Back the blue, bro. We got 1 million cops to stage up false flags. Oh, it's just so too much, man. And all your clownfluencer shills all say, stop trying to assassinate my president. Really? Let's go through here. Well, thankfully, the FBI foiled the plot before anyone was hurt. Federal authorities arrested 32-year-old Missouri man. They go through and name the suspects. Yeah. Very questionable to say the least here. They uncovered a chat where they're planning the attack and then went in and made the arrest and saved the day. And so this is why we need a police state. Here's another terror attack foiled by the FBI. California man. This is like right down the road from me where I'm at here. A little bit south. California man accused of ISIS terror plot with ex-Navy sailor to blow up special forces issues pitiful statement. And so you read through this story, and this guy was 21-year-old Elias Sham Saldine out of Porterville, California. He was arrested along with 4, 5 others in plotting a terrorist attack. A California man was arrested for allegedly plotting an ISIS-linked terrorist attack against special forces operatives. And then you read through the story, and it turns out, according to federal criminal complaint filed in Kansas, the trio, I guess they're charging 3 here now, allegedly pledged allegiance to ISIS, explored providing material support and communication with what they believed was a jihadist. Investigators say the individual was actually a confidential FBI source working undercover. They set up these dupe idiots who thought they were working with ISIS, and turns out it was actually the FBI. And it's every other story like this. If you read the details, probably this latest one too, if you look into it further. Oh, it turns out they were set up by the FBI to be terror patsy dupes, so the FBI can continue to build a police state for our own public safety, of course. Here's Trump reflecting on U.S.-Iran war at the G20. 7 in France.
Will rain down on them, and they're not going to do that. Now, you talk about regime change. I never cared about regime change. It's never a part, but I guess you have regime change because you know better than anybody. The first group, they're all dead. The second group, they're dead. A part of the third group is gone, and we're dealing with people that I think are very rational people. I mean, they were nice to deal with. They were strong people, smart people. I think actually they're smarter than the first and second group. But they're not radicalized, and they're, looking to help their country. So, again, I don't believe the regime change. I've watched regime changes for years. They never work. It has to just happen. I can tell you this is a country where the emir is so respected, and the prime minister is so respected by the people, and that's the way a country should run. It should run out of respect.
Was even talking about, U.S. tried to engineer regime change there in the months leading up to the actual hot war, as we continue to report with color revolution, bringing in all kinds of militia mercenary groups from around the area. They were trying to goad the Kurds into making a run at Iran as well. And so you have freaking Mike Pompeo, former head of the CIA, was putting out posts that the Iranian protesters are walking hand in hand with Mossad on the ground to attempt a regime change there in Iran. Well, we were never looking for a regime change. What are you guys talking about? It's all so ridiculous. Now, isn't it, the lies and propaganda, the Orwellian level of lying and propaganda coming out of the White House and Trump? So it looks like I did some rough calculations here, and we'll just call it $33 million per dead Iranian. That's a little bit high figure. The high side is we killed 3,500 Iranians, rough estimate here. And it cost on the high end $32.4 million per death. And this just rounded up because the inflation and so on, I believe it was over 33. But we'll just call it 33 for the sake of Illuminati comms. $33 million per dead Iranian. So it cost a lot of money to kill Iranians in this most recent U.S.-Iran war that started on February 28, 2026. And if these numbers that we're going to get to in a minute about what we're supposed to pay off Iran, that's going to raise that number way up unless we kill a bunch of more Iranians. 33 million. These are rough estimates, right? But hey, do the math, and it works out to about $33 million per dead Iranian. Not very efficient, because the Department of War keeps telling us they're the most efficient kill machine, maximizing lethality, and all of this that we continue to report. Bro, costing $33 million to kill Joe Blow Iranian. That's not efficiency at all. That's complete and utter failure of your lethal, maximized lethality kill machine out of the Pentagon. But what do they care? They have a $1.5 trillion budget coming up here. Hopefully we can join up our military with aardvark land, like it says in the Constitution, right? And we would not even have this Iran deal. We'd still be in a full-on war with Iran. Once that, was it 217? We have reporting on that. If that passes, Section 217 of the 2027 NDAA, we wouldn't even have this problem because we'd still be at a war with Iran. It would, who knows, it'd be maybe $1 trillion for every dead Iranian. And they'd say that's efficiency. You know what I mean? Continuing here, Haaretz. Some of the numbers now, there are numbers all over the place. There's a lot of speculation. I don't think we have 100% confirmation about any of this. just to preface these reports for you. But Haaretz out of Aardvark land, they're one of their big newspapers over there, right? They report that up to $24 billion in frozen Iranian assets could be released in 4 stages under the emerging U.S.-Iran agreement. The report citing a Pakistani source involved in the talks and another source familiar with the contracts says the transfers would be tied to the Iran meeting certain U.S. demands on reopening the Strait of Hormuz and including opening the strait without fees and on progress in upcoming nuclear negotiations. And remember, Iran just keeps playing the semantic games on the fees. They're like, there's not fees to cross the Strait of Hormuz. It's for the environment and it's for administrative processing. And so, but there will be a gun pointed at your face. And if you don't pay us, then we shoot you in the face. But there's no fees, bro. It's for the environment. More from Trump here on Trump on Aardvark land military action in Lebanon. And so this is shocking, some antiseptic talk out of Trump. Very shocking. We may have to call for sanctions on Trump for this transgression against genocide in Lebanon. Let's take a listen here now. This is what the whole world knows, but they deny and act like, oh, yeah, we have to blow up your entire country to get a Hezbollah that may or may not be hiding underneath that rock.
What are the expectations for Israel? Can this deal survive if Israel attacks Lebanon?
It can, and I consider that the minor war. Iran's a big one, but we have that little pinprick out there that constantly rears its head, and that's Hezbollah. And I was very responsible for Syria, and the man that's running Syria now is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others. He's done an amazing job of pulling it together. He's not a Boy Scout, but he's done an amazing job of pulling it together. And he is very good with Hezbollah, does not like them. And I'll tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you. And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
Really? Wants to roll out ISIS Al-Qaeda again as a proxy against Hezbollah in Lebanon? I don't see how that's going to fly, but hey. But he states the obvious there. You're whacking entire buildings in downtown Beirut, saying it's Hezbollah killing a bunch of civilians. That's exactly what they are doing here now. So that comes to the red line, as some call it, that Iran's laying down. You can't keep whacking Lebanese and have a peace deal. Iranian Foreign Minister Arghachai earlier today said any military attack by the Aardvark regime against Lebanon or the continued occupation of Lebanese territory is a violation of the Memorandum of Understanding. Well, then it's already been violated because it's ongoing attacks against Lebanon we'll get to later in the show. He went on to say, since yesterday morning, the war has officially ended on all fronts, and any Aardvark land attack on Lebanon is a violation of the Memorandum of Understanding. Well, they violated it as per usual. He said Iran and Hezbollah are on the same side of the agreement, while the United States and Aardvark land are on the other side. The end of the war includes the end of the occupation. He said, adding that the war cannot be considered fully over until Aardvark land forces withdraw from territory they seized during the conflict. Any military attack by Aardvarkland regime against Lebanon or the continued occupation of a Lebanese territory is a violation of the MOU. Oh, well, that's exactly what they're doing. Let's see. Yeah, since the latest ceasefire, right? Because ceasefire means nothing. Since the latest ceasefire between Aardvarkland and Lebanon, Aardvarkland has violated the ceasefire 84 times in the past 2 days. I don't see how we can get to a peace agreement when they keep on bombing Lebanon. White House rejects Aardvarkland request to review Iran MOU. And see, if we had that special section, would they change it to 217 of the NDAA? Then they would have been in on the review of the MOU and most likely sabotaged the peace deal. Is the problem with bringing in an outside influence that doesn't have the same interest as us here in America. I know it's very hurtful and hateful to say as much, but I actually do want to look out for American interests first. But hey, we may not even have this problem in the near future if they do pass this section of the NDAA. We'll get to more reporting on that coming up here. And so, yeah, Iran says no Iran-U.S. nuclear deal unless Aardvarkland withdraws from Lebanon. And they've been pretty consistent saying that. How are we going to square this circle when the mad dog, bloodthirsty Aardvarks are hell-bent on building the greater Aardvarkland project? They all say it religiously because it is their religion, actually. Okay, continuing here. AFP earlier today, citing the French Foreign Ministry, says the United States and Iran agreement is scheduled to be signed in Bergenstock, Central Switzerland on Friday. I hope so, man. I hope so, but it all hinges on, are they going to stop bombing Lebanon? Really, at this point, that's what we're down to. There's a bunch of details we'll get to here in a second. Hezbollah leadership tells Al RBTV, Iran has assured us that no agreement will be signed unless it includes the Aardvarkland withdrawal from Lebanon. Okay, this was posted. I saw it a couple different places. Mediaite, right? That's like mainstream over here in America. They posted the. Should we even read it? We don't have confirmation. I don't think I'm even going to read it. The 14 points of the MOU. I think I'll just save it because this is not 100% confirmed. It's allegedly been leaked. This is out of Saudi state TV. The 14-point agreement. I'd like to read it all, but I just feel like no. You know what I mean? I feel like no until we have 100% confirmation that this is the actual language of the Memorandum of Understanding, which is just an agreement to start talks, right? And so it's just, we got a long freaking way to go before we have a legitimate peace between America and Iran. So I won't read this. I was set to read it, but now that I think about it, it's not confirmed to be the so I could just be reading you some propaganda spin anyway. It's out there. I'll link to it. Weaponized News Substack. You guys can go read it if you like. I'd like the actual text from the U.S. and Iranian governments that they both agree to. This is the actual text of the MOU. And then we can move forward on this whole thing, because there is a lot of disinformation, misinformation, propaganda, and lies and spin every which way out there about it. And here at Weaponized News, we try to get it right and be as accurate as we possibly can for you out there in the audience. But the 14-point plan allegedly leaked is out there on the internet. Again, I don't think anybody can verify the accuracy of it, but the U.S. and Iranian governments at this point. Okay, continuing. This is Reuters, right? I don't know. Is Reuters lying? Are they running what? Propaganda? I don't know. But report out of Reuters says a U.S.-Iran framework agreement includes a proposed $300 billion private investment fund to drive investment into Iran, with more than half the funding already pledged. The fund, backed by companies from the United States, Gulf states, Asia, South America, and Africa, is intended to encourage both sides to finalize a broader agreement. Reuters reporting that. On to Hillary. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are cousins. They're all part of the same bloodline. They're like, I forget what, 6th or 8th, something like this, removed cousins, though. But all these people are part of the same bloodline. So when they're out there fighting in public, it's all a show. Don't believe them. It's part of the Masonic stage show called American politics. Hillary Clinton said, while she was Secretary of State, Netanyahu and his government repeatedly pushed the U.S. to support military action against Iran. It was relentless. It was a constant push. She recalled Aardvark land officials trying to convey urgency by saying, "Our planes are on the tarmac." Her response, "Well, good luck." So she's trying to play the, she was hip to the game Netanyahu's playing, and was not going to get the U.S. roped into a war with Iran. So hail Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, keeping that strong position against Netanyahu. But another report, and we continue to see him, Obama, well, she was under Obama, right? But who is it? Horse-faced skull and bonesman John Kerry said it. A bunch. They say Netanyahu's been trying to sell war with Iran because they're going to nuke us in 2 weeks for like literally the past 30 years. And then Trump administration are finally the dupes that bought it. More from Hillary here now. If Trump could figure out how to stay, he would. Talking about being in office right now. And she says that, well, we'll play this clip. Let me play this clip quickly here for you.
Well, David, you and I think alike. I think, number one, if he could figure out a way to stay, he would. My husband likes to say, if he tries to stay, I'm running again.
That's what we need, is Bill Clinton versus Trump for both their third terms. That would be American democracy. And so Ben Gvir, as we reported yesterday, the whole crew, Ben Gvir, Katz, Smotrich, Netanyahu, their whole crew said, nah, we're not withdrawing anywhere. We're not withdrawing back from the land we already stole, and we're going to continue to take land and continue the genocide, essentially, is what they had said yesterday on the back of the news of the Iran-U.S. peace deal. Earlier today here, Ben Gvir says the idea of abandoning our security into the hands of ISIS terrorists, the beheaders, the child murderers, will not happen. And so again, conflating Hezbollah with ISIS terrorists. Or maybe he's talking about working with Syria there. The Aardvarkland army is continuing to push to seize and occupy additional areas of southern Lebanon. Here's a report out of Al Jazeera about it.
Well, a fragile ceasefire has done little to ease tensions in the southern part of the country. Despite a pause in large-scale fighting, Israeli forces remain close to the front line, while residents returning to devastated villages face insecurity, destruction, and the constant threat of renewed conflict. Zaina Hoda reports from Nabatea.
There are front lines in southern Lebanon. The Lebanese army is closing roads leading to areas under Israeli occupation. The Israeli military is less than 2 kilometers from here. Villages around the southern city of Nabatea are still no-go areas. This is what they look like. Israel uses heavy firepower. The few people who are returning, most of the time, don't stay. Not just because of the destruction and the absence of basic services. This corner of South Lebanon is still an active front. Hezbollah has claimed an attack against advancing Israeli troops.
The ceasefire has not brought a full cessation of hostilities. In the Nabatea area, the Israeli army is, according to security sources, trying to occupy more areas. We've been hearing the sound of artillery fire targeting villages close to the Ali Tahrir Hills.
That's strategic high ground that the Israeli army was not able to occupy during weeks of fighting. Israeli drones haven't left the skies. Israeli officials have made clear they are not happy with the US-Iran deal that includes a ceasefire in Lebanon. Some, like Mohammed Nasser, return only to check on their properties.
This is a decades-old conflict with Israel, an enemy that can't be trusted, and we can never feel safe.
Nabatea was once bustling, a main trading center that connects the southern hinterland to the coast and the rest of the country. The Israeli military issued a forced displacement order for the entire city during the hostilities.
The Israeli army is trying to occupy positions that it once held during their occupation of southern Lebanon in the 1990s, but the resistance is preventing them from doing so.
More ground means more leverage. Israeli officials have said the army is not leaving what it calls its buffer zone, while Hezbollah says it won't accept Israel having freedom of movement in Lebanon.
Deal breaker? Kind of sounds like it. Kind of sounds like this is a deal breaker. Okay, they've now changed the number here. What is it? It's 219. And so it was previously 224 section of the 2027 NDAA. The number of the sections now changed to 219, and we wouldn't have any of this peace deal if this passed already, and that's why they're trying to pass it. The section says there, the Secretary of Defense, in consultation with the Minister of Defense of Aardvarkland, shall establish a cooperative initiative to be known as the United States Aardvarkland Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative to expand and accelerate bilateral defense technology research, development, testing, evaluation, coordination, and industry cooperation by identifying jointly developed or Aardvarkland origin technologies with optional utility for integration into U.S. systems. It's like a full-on takeover here. And so this cannot be passed. It cannot be passed, or else we're one and the same with them. And they would block this Iran-U.S. peace deal. So Ro Khanna and Massey are introducing amendments to the NDAA to try to strike the 219 section. We'll see and continue to report as this 2027 NDAA funding bill winds its way through the Congress. But wow, what a nightmare if they pass it as it is now. We seriously would not have the U.S. Iran MOU even. We'd have nothing. We'd be in full on war, probably boots on the ground, and probably America would be attacked at this point in all of this insanity. All right, let's get to the Peter Thiel reporting. Palantir first here now. Palantir co-founder Joe Longsdale is involved in Austin Franco's revenge doxing is critical because Palantir themselves put forward, a DEI program on October 7th announcing they'd hire only aardvarks. So that's very diverse of them there at Palantir. Though Ben Shapiro hailed the DEI program, saying, "Love this," on X, most observers railed against it and noted how using racial preferences in hiring is illegal in America. Thought so, but hey, they're the good guys, so they're above it all, as we continually are beaten over the head with plungers for our antiseptic thoughts. Their agreement that Franco not wanting to work for an aardvark is some outrageous civil rights violation falls completely flat, considering they themselves publicly stated their intent to only hire aardvarks fearing antiseptic behavior. It's perfectly legal in America for individuals to decline to work for people based on racial preferences, but it's completely illegal for companies to use racial preferences in hiring. And that's the scandal where they were in this guy's private messages, Austin Franco, where he says, "I don't want to work for aardvarks." And they're like, "Watch this, buddy. We're going to destroy you, ruin your life, and dox you," and the whole routine like this. Even if you only look at this from a social cost perspective, Palantir, a massive corporation with a market cap of $314 billion, face zero repercussions for their discriminatory DEI program. On the other hand, Franco, a 19-year-old unemployed college student, is being dragged through the mud and attacked on all fronts by some of the wealthiest Zionists in America, along with Fox News, for a statement he made in a private email. It was a private email. Here's that statement by Palantir now. So beyond creepy in our technocracy, digital scientific dictatorship, police state. Pretty amazing. I think we do have, do we have the report here? And that was posted by Information Liberation. Yeah, a 19-year-old college student quietly turns down a job interview, stupidly telling the company it's because he doesn't want to work for an aardvark. And that's what led to this whole controversy. On to, that was Palantir's, why I even mentioned it, as a segue to this story now. Leak exposes members of Peter Thiel's secret digital or Dialog society. This is a report out of Wired magazine. More than 200 of the world's elites registered for a retreat whose agenda runs from panels on cult building to sex to preparing for World War III. An associated app offers matchmaking. A trove of internal records from a secret society for powerful figures in U.S. politics, finance, and tech was left exposed online. Wired magazine has confirmed naming participants in its events and revealing sensitive personal details they were assured would stay private. The group, called Dialog, is a private invitation-only organization co-founded in 2006 by billionaire tech investor Peter Thiel, same guy that owns Vice President J.D. Vance, Mr. Technocracy. It convenes U.S. officials, foreign government figures, and Silicon Valley executives at off-the-record annual retreats. Dialog has spent 2 decades declining to disclose its members. A directory in the website's code was first revealed by the Swiss hacktivist Mari Arson, Crime W, known for exposing the U.S. government's no-fly list and breaching the surveillance camera company Verkada. Crime W tells Wired Magazine the directory surfaced via an anonymous tip. Wired Magazine independently verified its contents. A source separately provided Wired Magazine with the registration list for Dialog's 2026 retreat, which names 222 people and records what the list describes as each registrant's membership status and attendee type, including active member and guest. The retreat is scheduled for August 12th through the 16th at a venue near Dublin, Ireland. The same data lays out a program of off-the-record sessions, including Money Does buy happiness, Bring Back Nuclear, Navigating World War III, Battlefield Technologies, and How's Your Sex Life. Other talks include Build a Cult, moderated by the founder of the Christian networking site Pray.com, and Build a Party, run by a former White House national security official. Together, alongside the mundane fare of a typical thought leadership conference, the documents show an extraordinary convergence of power. The registration records list General Alexis Guy Kurich, NATO's Supreme Allied Commander of Europe and head of U.S. European Command, who took the post in July 2025 and is recorded on the leaked list as having attended Dialog gatherings since 2021. The website directory names sitting Trump administration officials, 2 U.S. senators, 6 members of the PayPal mafia, a former Middle East chief of intelligence, and a sitting ambassador to the United States, along with the founders and directors of many of the country's largest surveillance data broker and advertising data companies. Those executives appear side by side with senior U.S. officials overseeing their industries. Erden Hoffman, Dialog's chairman, founded the local data broker SafeGraph and the identity resolution firm LiveRamp, 2 of the most important suppliers in the consumer data economy. He appears in the directory alongside U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, whose department writes the rules on financial data, and Senator Ted Cruz, chairman of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, which oversees the Federal Trade Commission and its Data Privacy Authority. Palantir co-founder, who we talked about in the last story, the great champion of equality that only hires aardvarks at Palantir. Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale, whose software runs case management for U.S. ICE and data fusion for the Pentagon and intelligence community, is listed in the same society as Army Secretary Dan Driscoll and Representative Jim Hines, the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, which oversees agencies Palantir contracts with. None of the individuals named in the story responded to a request for comment. Yeah, some dirty inside dealings. It goes on there. It also lists a cluster of Google and Google DeepMind executives. So this is your corporate fascist government, i.e. technocracy, i.e. scientific dictatorship, having their little meeting there with Peter Thiel and the whole technocracy crew. Corruption writ large here now. Insider dealings for government contracts. Dialog Global 2026 meeting coming up this August in Ireland. Quite a secret society they've formed up there. Some are calling it, another article has compared it to the Bilderberg Group update for the Silicon Age. Yeah, there's some more details, more reports in the interest of time. I'm going to move on, but all the links will be posted at Weaponized News Substack channel. Also, dovetailing off that story, also regarding Palantir, French spy service drops Palantir in favor of French company. That's a report out of the Euro News. And so they may have to be sanctioned there in France. A lot of transgressions lately out of France. The French government wants to free itself from American influence. Earlier today, it was announced by the Prime Minister that French company Chaps Vision has been chosen to replace U.S. firm Palantir in handling large-scale data processing for the General Directorate for Internal Security there out of France. They said in a statement to Euronews, we cannot accept new strategic dependencies in the digital sphere, not to depend on the goodwill of certain partners who are capable of turning off the tap on access to AI. Yeah, same problem. Same problem with us linking up, as we just covered in the 217 NDAA, right? Same problem. We actually don't have aligned interests in many cases. France government sees it with Palantir. America should see it with Aardvark land. We actually don't have aligned interest in many cases here now. France government saw it with Palantir. Why can't we see it? All right, let's take our live commercial break here now as we're at the top of the hour. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. We just did an hour of hardcore news there for you, commercial free. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Get yourself a sticker at weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's in the description below this video. We have the holograph sticker here, all the colors of the rainbow for Pride Month. We have the white background sticker if you're not into that, and the clear background sticker there. That's a demo model. You'll get a new one. We got the 3 stickers at weaponizednews.com/substack. We have t-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs, shot glasses, as this show's known to induce heavy bouts of drinking alcohol per our viewers. Go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a Weaponized News shot glass. We got a bunch of items at the store. If you don't feel like patroning the store, give us a donation. Help support independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week. Broadcasting live 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time. Help support true independent reporting and analysis at Weaponized News. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App. All those links are in the description below this video. Become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack. Nothing's beyond a paywall. Show your support, again, for independent reporting and analysis. I give away everything free. The show is streaming live right now on Substack. You'll get a summary of the show, and you will also get links to almost everything we talk about for documentation and further research purposes. It's all free for you. Show your support by becoming a paid subscriber on Substack. No paywall. It's all free, again, but thank you to all the patrons of the store, the donors, and the paid subscribers over there on Substack, and the unpaid subscribers. I understand in this economy, money is tight, but your contribution, any which way you choose, is much appreciated. Thank you very much. It's free to give me that like, share, subscribe, and push that notification button. All right. Thank you for your attention to that matter. And welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 edition. Let's get back into the police state. I don't know if you guys saw this story, very tragic, out of Los Angeles. The police there were doing a welfare check and wound up shooting the family dog as per usual. They were celebrating the New York Knicks winning the NBA Finals, and the cops show up and kill their dog wearing a Knicks jersey. I guess they weren't very big Knicks fans. Here's a little bit of that tragic incident in LA.
Such a good dog.
Oh my God, my teeth is sick. What the fuck? Oh God.
The Calvary for this.
I can't.
Instead of you guys kill the dog, there's fucking drug dealers and shit outside. Why don't you shoot those motherfuckers?
The Knicks just won a championship. We were just so happy. We were just celebrating the Knicks.
Instead of fucking getting a fucking piece of shit outside, you kill a fucking dog.
Oh God, Jeremiah!
As you can see there, the dog's owner, very broken up, as how many thousands upon thousands of reports of the cops show up and they shoot your dog, right? And so very sad there. It looks like LAPD, not big Knicks fans, shooting that dog. Tragically enough, wearing a Knicks jersey a few days ago. That was from Police 2.0, and from Jason Bassler. Now he posted this as a public service announcement. Public service announcement: do not plant bamboo near data centers. Bamboo can spread rapidly through underground rhizomes and can be extremely difficult to remove. Please choose responsible landscaping alternatives. Thank you for your cooperation. This message has been reviewed by absolutely nobody. So there you go. Public service announcement about bamboo. So the feds are keeping us safe from those evil Antifas. They tell us today the federal government indicted 15 individuals with conspiracy to impede or injure federal officers and other charges related to efforts of 2 Minnesota-based Antifa groups that violently opposed the enforcement of federal law in Minnesota. And why does here's the announcement, but I just come on, bro. You gotta, like, why the hat? You know what I mean?
Today, a federal indictment was unsealed, charging 15 defendants with conspiracy to impede or injure federal officers and other charges related to efforts of two Minneapolis-based Antifa groups that violently opposed the enforcement.
I know. Don't be a conspiracy guy, but every other indictment by the Department of Justice is for conspiracy. And so they're building out anything and everything to build out the police state. The Department of Homeland Security has issued a warning that national terror threat level is at its highest due to a critical lapse in FISA. And so watch out for a false flag terrorist attack to bring back more police state and illegal warrantless 702 FISA spying.
There is new concern due to the lapse of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, along with the warning from Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen that the threat level is the highest it's ever been, adding that suspected terrorists who had slipped through the border long ago.
Isn't it terrorism by this character and the government against the American people by raising the threat level to the highest ever? Isn't that in and of itself psychological terrorism? I do believe it is.
They are still inside the country. Now, Iranian hackers also, they are claiming that they've been able to breach the FBI's drone surveillance program as well as part of the California water system. But so far, there is no evidence of that.
Well, we need a giant police state because anonymous Iranian hackers on the internet have made these claims. They're probably working for the feds here in America. Just a guess. Okay, on to, we got to save the children from the social media, which is actually just an excuse because they don't give a damn about the children. It's just an excuse for digital ID, the same push they've been making ever since the bat times, the Great Reset. Social media to be banned for under 16s and landmark government move to give kids their childhood back. Out of the UK, right there. We reported on it yesterday. The World Health Organization is touting this move. Tedros, head of the World Health Organization, says, "We welcome your government's commitment, Prime Minister Stallmer, to protect children from the harms of social media." And that was a reply to this post by Stallmer where he says, "We are banning social media access for under 16s." And then he gets fact-checked on the X saying, the UK government's careful review of the research found a small correlation between children's use of social media and well-being, but no evidence of a causal effect. Correlation's not causation. They love it, right? So back at you, bro. Big Brother UK right there. And they do cite their sources. So there you have it. Social media firms hit back as Stallmer announces ban for under 16s in UK. Meta, YouTube, and Snapchat say ban, which would stop children using their platforms, will drive them to less safe services. And wasn't YouTube a couple months back, weren't they convicted by a jury, I do believe in LA, of essentially social engineering the youth and brainwashing them and weird sex stuff? I'm pretty sure on Facebook a jury found them guilty of that. But hey, they care about the children just as much as Big Brother. They're out of the UK. Let's see. Meta, YouTube, and Snapchat have all criticized the ban. A spokesperson for Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, said, as we've seen in Australia, bans risk isolating teens from online communities and information and driving them to unregulated alternatives that lack built-in protections and parental control. YouTube said in a statement, blanket bans push kids out of such curated, supervised, beneficial experiences and towards anonymous, less safe services. Snapchat said, because the majority of time spent on Snapchat is in private messaging between friends and family, an outright ban that disconnects teens from those relationships doesn't make them safer. It may simply push them to less safe platforms. Remember the good old days of the internet when we didn't have these social media, social engineering, data thief companies? Remember the good old days? Anonymous chat boards. I know. Everybody cares about the children. So we're going to see how all this plays out. 6 countries have implemented social media age restriction policies. Here's the map in this report out of the Guardian. You can see right there, they're trying to figure it out for the children in Europe. Brazil, under 16s must link accounts to legal guardian. It's proposed here in America, all of North America, Canada. It's implemented there in China, Australia. You can see right here on the map. I won't go through them all, but yeah. And again, this is for digital ID. They don't give a damn if whatever happens to your kids on the internet. They're just using them as per usual as an excuse to take away our rights and anonymity to build the technocracy even that much stronger. The Justice Department is seeking to throw out a lawsuit against Elon Musk's company XAI over the data center's air pollution, saying it has a right to run polluting gas-burning turbines in Mississippi despite not having permits for them. And so do away with all protections for any environment because we have technocracy to build, you see. All right, continuing. Elon Musk. Elon Musk promotes unfounded UK rape gang inquiry, claims 250,000 victims. Was there really that many? We know there's some rape gangs going on there in the UK as they tell us how much they care about the children. And so that does seem extremely high. It may very well be true. I don't know, but it's an unconfirmed claim being pushed now by Elon Musk and X, which of course he's the owner of. J.D. Vance confesses to The View that he's an Epstein conspiracy theorist. Again, they're trying to whitewash J.D. Vance's image and distance himself and say, well, he's the rational mind in the Trump administration. He's a conspiracy guy. He's one of the people. He's a great populist. No, he's there because he's Mr. Technocracy, hand-placed and installed by Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Because they keep trying to sell that it's going to be Vance and Marco Rubio. It's going to be Vance and somebody for the Republican 2028 presidential ticket. And I keep seeing this come up, trying to whitewash Vance's image as he's the moderate guy that's trying to stave off extremists coming from every direction of the Trump administration. BS. All right? BS. He made the rounds all over the media today trying to explain away the Iran war. No, it was illegal foreign war of aggression that killed 3,500 Iranians that cost $33 million per dead Iranian. Literally the worst war, I guess not in terms of U.S. body count, but every other count. And it's going to take a long time to unwind as the global economy is extremely sophisticated. But we know engineered famine was part of this agenda, and it appears that will come to fruition because they blocked the Strait of Hormuz. And so a bunch of fertilizer and other agricultural inputs were not able to be part of this year's planting season in many agricultural sectors around the world, i.e., a baked in famine by design. Continuing here, Epstein survivors push Comer to investigate potential leads from DOJ's files in private meeting. In a private meeting last week, a group of Epstein survivors and family members pointed House Oversight Chair James Comer to allegations from the Justice Department's Epstein files to further investigate, arguing that acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's suggestion there were no more leads to pursue in the case is not true. It's not true. Go read the Epstein files. You can find all kinds of crimes and co-conspirators that would keep a honest Department of Justice probably busy for the next freaking 20 years, but they refuse to investigate any of it, as they refuse to investigate, the FBI refused to investigate the initial reports of rape, murder, degeneracy, eating babies, drinking the blood. We covered it all. I mean, just evil writ large. And they're like, that's nice, but here's your report, right? Here's that report, and it's in the garbage because we care so much about the children and justice and the whole BS routine. No, in reality, the FBI and the Department of Justice are covering up for the Epsteiners, all the co-conspirators involved in this Rothschild spy network. That wasn't only trafficking children, they're trafficking anything and everything. Political influence, weapons, drugs, children, you name it. You name the contraband, these guys are into it. And so there's, like I said, 20 years at the minimum worth of investigation work to do just on the information that we have in the released Epstein files, even with the redactions. So imagine all the data that they still have and what's behind those redactions. Over 20 years worth of work that they refuse to do, that the Department of Justice refuses to do behind the cover-up of Todd Blanche, former personal attorney of Donald Trump. Let's watch a little bit of this report. House staffers to visit convicted Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell in prison today.
Today, House staffers are on the ground in Bryan, Texas, visiting the federal prison where Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving her 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking. And they're investigating claims she's gotten preferential treatment after her sit-down with Todd Blanche, who you know wants to be the Attorney General. Joining us now is Virginia Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw, who sits on the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, good to see you. I understand it is staffers from your committee and the Judiciary Committee who are at Maxwell's prison today. What are the biggest questions you want them to answer?
I think the biggest question is how and why was Ghislaine Maxwell transferred? And it came obviously on the heels of her really extraordinary interview conducted by the Deputy AG.
They said at Ghislaine Maxwell's prison, and probably is her prison, A lot of reports he's getting very soft treatment. Hell, Epstein, the first time around, had a key to his own room, as we continue to report. Here's a part of the connection here. I know Trump's Mr. America. He would never do anything wrong, and he exposed Epstein and blah, blah, blah. The whole cover story is BS. Trump is neck deep with Epstein. Take a look at this report where he learned it from his mentor there in New York, Roy Cohen.
This whole entire ring of Jewish mafia and blackmail, Donald Trump has been connected to them because he was groomed by Roy Cohn. And Roy Cohn was having actual blackmail parties in the Plaza Hotel in New York in the Blue Suite. Donald Trump bought that hotel. There's pictures of Jeffrey Epstein coming to his wedding with Marla Maples at that exact hotel. They blackmailed people like J. Edgar Hoover. Him and Louis Rosenthal, who was connected to the Brofman family, they're working with people like Meyer Lansky. He was the head of the mob, the actual kosher Nostra. Rosenthal was Brofman's right-hand man. Donald Trump, in his books, has said Roy Cohn was my mentor, taught me everything, he was my lawyer. That's just only one piece of a giant puzzle. This whole entire...
There you go. He's neck deep in the blackmail, compromise, racketeering game. That's your and my sitting president, Donald Trump. So all this, he was so outraged when he learned of Epstein's wrongdoings. BS. BS. He's part of it. And that's just cover stories out there. On to economic reporting now. So it costs $33 million per dead Iranian. Not very efficient killing. And we're struggling to pay for our grocery bills out here on Main Street, in Main Street America. Surging gas prices have pushed Americans to dig deeper into their wallets, skip purchases, and pull back on savings. President Trump dismissed Americans' economic concerns amid the Iran war as, quote, peanuts compared to the threat of Iran having a nuclear weapon, pumping that 30-year-old Bibi, we're going to get nuked in 2 weeks propaganda that even Hillary Clinton and horse-faced skull and bonesman John Kerry rejected. But to workers, the higher costs are hardly peanuts. The price of gas has surged about 50% since the war began. We'll get into breaking down those numbers. Let's see. Economists caution that energy prices are unlikely to drop quickly despite the preliminary deal between America and Iran. There is no deal yet even. They say they electronically signed the MOU. We still don't have the actual MOU. And it hinges on Lebanon not being bombed, but it's being bombed today. More on this. Let's see here. Yeah, it kind of didn't work out. I tried. It was behind a paywall. Yeah, we'll move on from that report. Yum Brands to sell Pizza Hut for $2.7 billion. Robinhood, the trading platform, to cut 10% of its full-time workforce. UFC fighters at America 250, Bread and Circus Idiocracy fighting event on Sunday for Trump's 80th birthday, got paid in Trump family stable coins. So they even scammed the freaking fighters. No shame. SpaceX is now worth more than Amazon. SpaceX market cap is $2.75 trillion. Amazon's is $2.65 trillion. Amazon's profits were $78 billion last year. SpaceX lost $5 billion last year. They don't produce anything. They shoot rockets up and they come down, and that's what they do at SpaceX and a couple other things. They're a big part of the military-industrial complex, but that's still like under the covers, halfway. What do you guys do? Well, we get giant government contracts and keep this whole racketeering game going. Oh, well, you're worth that market cap of $2.75 trillion. Retail investors buy SpaceX in record numbers. Giant scam, exit liquidity. All these retail investors are going to find that they've been rugged. Sorry to report here now. Trump family crypto firm is expected to get federal banking privileges. Trump appointed bank regulators. Crypto-friendly approach is likely to extend to World Liberty Financial despite ethics concerns. Well, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You don't want to have his corrupt cryptocurrency business. You don't want him to have federal banking privileges. Well, you must have Trump derangement syndrome because we love corruption here in MAGA. Obviously. And they rugged a bunch of investors there, as we reported, at World Liberty Financial. They don't care. They love corruption. I guess you can be that way when you're president, right? Sure. A national trust bank charter comes with significant legal and financial benefits. It would allow World Liberty Financial to settle financial transactions akin to Vimeo or PayPal on the World Liberty Financial platform, through which the Trump family would receive a cut. The charter would enable World Liberty Financial to publicly issue its stablecoin tokens, a cryptocurrency called USD1, domestically without having to go through an intermediary institution. National charters also allow financial organizations to preempt state regulations, including liquidity requirements aimed at ensuring bank solvency. So the level of corruption, if they do get this federal banking charter, it'll be otherworldly, like we've never seen before. The Trump scam special, he first tells you something else, someone else is paying for it, then the price tag explodes, then the taxpayers get stuck with the bill. According to documents from the White House ballroom contractor, the cost of the project is actually estimated at $600 million, and more than half of that is coming from U.S. taxpayers, you and I, to build this underground bunker, drone launching facility, and probably human trafficking tunnels there under the White House. Amazing levels of corruption. So are we underneath $4 a gallon here now today for the price of a gallon of gasoline? No, we're not. We still have not fallen below that threshold. Today, June 16th, according to AAA national average for the cost of a gallon of gasoline, the price is $4.04. And so it dropped about 2 cents from yesterday. Here is that average. So we're still not below the $4 threshold, as you can see there. And again, it's going to take a long time for this to unwind. We still haven't even seen, you can't snap your fingers and the world economy and energy markets just spin on a dime because Trump freaking says so. These are extremely, what's the global economy? It's extremely sophisticated. Who knows how many inputs into it and so on. So this thing, it takes a long time to turn that ship around. And so we're not even still seeing the effects. We're seeing the effects from the betting, right? The betting in the markets, but the actual real market We haven't even seen the full effects from the war. Forget the peace deal. So a lot has to unwind still here now. I guess we stopped this tracker since I'm keeping it going because, hey, but there's still a lot of questions, and the accounting's not done yet on the Iran war in the least. According to Brown University, the Watson School of International and Public Affairs, the U.S. household cost burden across both diesel and gasoline is $453.31, and the total cost burden for consumers since the beginning of the Iran war, starting on February 28, 2026, is now $59.4 billion here now. ConocoPhillips is set to become the first major U.S. energy company to sign a contract with Syria's new government, partnering with Syria's state-owned petroleum company, Novaterra Energy, to develop existing gas fields and explore new ones. The deal, expected this week, aims to boost Syria's gas production by 4 to 5 million cubic meters per day within a year, helping ease chronic power shortages. Syria's gas output has fallen by 2/3 since 2011, while the country needs about 18 million cubic meters per day to meet electricity demand. China is now, they do hold almost all the cards here now. They are, well, they hold the cards as far as rare earth minerals goes in large part, and have put export controls on, creating choke points for key U.S. industries. That was a big part, if you remember, of Trump's technocracy trip to China. And they basically laughed in his face and said, yeah, bro, we're going to go ahead and limit exports on all of these materials that you need for inputs to build out your AI technocracy economy. We use tariffs as a weapon of war, weaponizing the dollar as the world's reserve currency. China uses real world inputs that actually build physical goods as their economic weapon in this trade war that is still ongoing with China. Asia crude and fuel prices and fuel premiums fall back to pre-war levels. And so they go through a bunch of different areas, indicators. So looking good. It's going down. But again, it's going to take this is all speculation. The real economy has to catch up with the speculation, I guess is the best way to put it. IEA demands immediate and unconditional reopening of Strait of Hormuz. That's another sticking point here in the Iran-U.S. peace deal. Reopening of Strait of Hormuz to stop global energy shock. The head of the International Energy Agency stated that the unconditional reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to oil and gas tankers is vital to halting the economic shock of soaring energy prices worldwide. Yeah. The Strait of Hormuz remains well below normal commercial activity despite signs of diplomatic progress between the United States and Iran, according to shipping analytics firm Kepler. Only 5 confirmed vessel crossings were recorded yesterday, June 15th, with companies still waiting for clarity on transit security, navigation fees, and safe passage agreements before returning to normal operations. See, they don't buy the hype. They're like, bro, they're shooting at people. We need some concrete guarantees, contracts, and the like that you're not going to shoot us in the face for driving by your Strait of Hormuz, right? And so that is the reality of the situation. Despite all the propaganda, hype, and speculations in the market, on the ground or in the strait, they're still saying, bro, we got to have some type of guarantee. You're not going to shoot us in the face for the environment, Iran. You know what I mean? So that's where we're at with the Strait of Hormuz. Very little traffic through there right now. The U.S. has begun running. The U.S. has been running, we reported on this yesterday, a covert operation to keep Gulf oil exports moving despite Iran's effective blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, with more than 90 million barrels moving through the system since early May, Reuters had reported. And so, I don't know. Would they put out fake reports to hype the speculation market and to cover up a lot of mistakes, schemes, scams, and fraud? Yeah, they would never put out a fake story, would they? 2 national Iranian tanker companies have exited the U.S. naval blockade. So, according to tankertrackers.com, so that's like a show of goodwill by America, by U.S. Central Command and our Navy there, and letting these Iranian oil tankers pass without being shot at by our Navy. Kind of a sign of goodwill. That's good in this whole muddled mess that we find ourselves in, the Iran war. Continuing here, down there in Brazil, son of Bolsonaro, Eduardo Bolsonaro, son of former President Bolsonaro, is sentenced to 4 years, 2 months in prison. The Brazilian court found that he improperly lobbied U.S. officials to pressure Brazilian authorities to interfere with legal proceedings against his father, who was previously sentenced to 27 years in prison for a coup attempt. His lawyer argued there was sufficient evidence. His lawyers argued there was insufficient evidence for a conviction. Apparently, the Brazilian court saw different and sentenced him to 4 years and 2 months in prison in Brazil. A Russian artist who was critical of Putin is killed near his home in Poland, the Associated Press reports. And these government is an organized crime syndicate. Russia, China, America, all of them. A 44-year-old Russian artist who was critical of a Russian president, Vladimir Putin, was shot and killed at close range near his home in Poland. 2 Belarusian citizens, aged 37 and 33, were arrested near Belarus consulate after the killing yesterday. Was this in connection with his criticism of Putin? I don't know, but that's the claim they're making here now. Saudi Arabia says unchanged position on two-state solution for Palestine. So they tell us normalization of relations with Aardvark land, between Saudi Arabia and Aardvark land. That can't happen because they say there is no Palestine, right? But yet Saudi Arabia, two-state solution. I really don't see that happening, but they're publicly saying they are sticking to that position. So there's a lot of questions here now. A whole lot of questions about peace in the Persian Gulf. As long as you have the mad dog killer Aardvark land genociding the Palestinians and Lebanese, there can't be no peace. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. So is Skynet live? Is Skynet live? This report here now says that Terminator robots have killed Russians. Fully autonomous drones have killed human soldiers for the first time. Report out of New Scientist. Let's take a look at that report. Report out of New Scientist. Drones are a common sight on the battlefield of Ukraine, but they are normally controlled by human pilots. Fully autonomous drones with no human oversight have killed soldiers on the battlefield for the first time. This is according to a senior figure in the Ukrainian defense industry, marking a watershed moment in warfare. The one-off test involved 10 AI-controlled, quote, Terminator drones on the front line of the Ukraine war. Russian soldiers were killed. We tried it, says drone maker Alexander Kohanevsky, who supplied the technology and spoke to New Scientists at a press event hosted at the Ukraine embassy. It's a test. We never implemented it. The test took place 2 years ago and involved quadricopter drones that were programmed to fly toward the front line, cover between 3 to 5 kilometers over around 10 minutes, and then engage, quote, Terminator mode, in which an AI model searches for and intercepts targets. We just launch it and we know everything will be dead. Everything that will be found there in this particular area will be dead. He said there is no connection to the drone at all. You cannot see the video, nothing. Everything it sees will be killed, with no way to tell what the automated drones have seen or targeted. Human piloted drones were sent into the area after the test to manually check results. Victims included a couple soldiers, one truck. While there is no recording of the automated drones attacking these targets, it was concluded that the drones had killed them. Why can't we get a recording? I don't understand that part, but this is what they're claiming. Autonomous Terminator drones have acted autonomously and killed Russian soldiers in the Iran-Russian war. That's the claim here in this report out of New Scientist. And so the next question is, how far away are we from Skynet? How far away are we from these systems becoming self-aware? And can they even become self-aware? Is that just a sci-fi fantasy, or is it closer to reality? This claim is saying they went in full autonomous mode and killed some Russians. Is Skynet live, and how, and can it, and is it, or can it become self-aware? Well, they're working on it if it's not already the case at the Department of War. I did not even know that such a department existed as a sub-department at the Department of War until I read their post here now. The Office of Strategic Capital. Who knew there's even such a government agency? There is. I learned it today. Thank you, Department of War posting. That's per this post by the Department of War. They say the Department of War's Office of Strategic Capital announced a $500 million conditional loan commitment to Phoenix Tailings to scale the company's domestic processing of rare earth elements. Needs to be done for U.S. national security because, as we just reported, China, in large part, controls rare earth elements, which we need for all this high-tech inputs into the manufacturing. China, in our trade war, economic war, Cold War against China, is using their de facto monopoly on rare earth minerals as their weapon in our economic war. So yes, we are trying to increase domestic rare earth elements processing. Phoenix Tailings specializes in rare earth separation and metallization, a highly technical midstream process that bridges the critical gap between raw extraction and permanent magnet production. The company's increased production will directly support permanent magnet facilities across the broader United States industrial base and strengthen supply chains for other specialty defense and industrial products. Here's the announcement of this loan. Out of the Office of Strategic Capital. And I had never heard of these guys before, so I looked them up. And turns out they were established under the Biden administration. The Office of Strategic Capital, there's the details here. It was established under the Biden administration under Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, December 1st, 2022, as a finance-oriented organization under the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering. That's Michael now, right? As we continue to report about him and AI at the Department of War. It was formally codified and expanded. So yeah, it's real. And then I asked AI, right, Grok over there at the X. I said, do they pick winners and losers? And they say yes. Yes, they do. Yes, I asked, does the Office of Strategic Capital pick winners and losers? Yes, by design and necessity, but with structured criteria intended to prioritize national security over pure market forces or political favoritism. This is inherent to government industrial policy. So they pick winners and losers in our free market capitalistic economy here. It's nothing of the sort. It's rigged up one side and down the other. Winners and losers are picked by the government. And let's go through laying it out there. Government picking winners and losers out of the Office of Strategic Capital. Here they are under the Department of War, cto.mil/OSC. U.S. Department of War, Office of Strategic Capital, i.e., a money spigot to the military-industrial complex. War is a racket. Writ large racketeering right here. Video of the day from the Department of War. They say they're rolling out Department of War's premier AI platform, again, is Skynet Live. And can it ever become self-aware? Well, they're trying. If that's not already the case, they're trying at the Department of War right now.
We are the GenAI.mil task force team out of the Pentagon here at Fort Bragg, embedding with units across the installation, integrating artificial intelligence into workflows. We're looking to increase efficiency in workflows so that way we can be more lethal on the battlefield.
Bro, it cost us $33 million to kill one Iranian. That doesn't sound very efficient to me.
The power that AI brings to the warfighter is the ability to take in all of that data, analyze it, and produce something coherent.
The next near-peer conflict that we have, it's going to be fought at the speed that we can operate at.
Artificial intelligence is going to define our future success in warfighting for decades to come. We need to win the AI arms race. The country that integrates AI the best into their warfighting workflows are going to be the most powerful countries. Artificial intelligence is the next frontier, and we are winning this race.
Are we, though? Are we? Human rights advocates demand global ban on military AI, citing Aardvark Land's genocide in Gaza. More than 100 rights organizations and tech activist groups, including Amnesty International and Access Now, have issued a joint statement demanding an immediate halt to the integration of artificial intelligence in military, quote, kill chains. The coalition warned that the expansion of automated warfare severely dilutes human responsibility, leading to unprecedented civilian bloodshed and total lack of accountability. They pointed directly to the Aardvark Land assault on Gaza as a horrific blueprint for the future, where AI-driven software has been weaponized to systemically execute tens of thousands of Palestinians. The statement specifically condemns Aardvark Land's reliance on 3 AI targeting systems, Lavender, Gospel, and Where's Daddy, which process mass surveillance records to auto-generate lists of targets for airstrikes with virtually no human oversight. This automated approach to warfare is a primary driver behind the massive death toll in Gaza, masking international crimes behind a false veneer of algorithmic objectivity. The coalition called on global tech corporations to immediately cease providing data infrastructure and AI support to Aardvark Land. The pushback comes amid growing complicity from U.S. tech monopolies, with Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and OpenAI deepening their ties with the U.S. Department of War and foreign militaries. This corporate collaboration has triggered internal revolts, including a recent historic unionization vote by hundreds of workers at Google DeepMind in the UK. The tech employees are demanding an end to Google's military contracts with both the U.S. and Aardvark Land, warning that their research is being actively used to wage war across West Asia. Microsoft powers genocide, and so does old Palantir. Proudly, Palantir does. Indeed. That's where we're at. Aardvark Land's ruling Likud party has shelved a planned propaganda campaign highlighting Trump and Netanyahu relationship after conducting after concluding that Trump is not currently helping Netanyahu with aardvark land public opinion. They all hate him now. It's pretty hilarious, actually, to see the neocon warmongers all turn on Trump over the alleged Iran. We haven't even got there. We're not even close, actually. We're not even close, actually, but they've all now shown their true colors, as we knew they always were, warmongering psychopaths. And so it's rather comical, if it wasn't so tragic, to watch when people's lives hang in the balance here now. A little bit more from Trump here now. He says that if it weren't for the United States of America, aardvark land would not exist right now. And they all hate him. So they never let a good deed go unpunished, as they say.
But you wouldn't have, if it weren't for the United States of America, with me, because Obama was the opposite, Israel would not exist right now. Israel would have been blown off the face of the earth.
Trump needs to have a talk with his ambassador, Mr. Trader Huckabee. Here's what Huckabee has to say about it. He says without aardvark land, America wouldn't exist. And so Trump needs to have a talk with this traitor joker right here, big time.
It's also my job to represent the importance of Israel to the United States. This is just another reminder that it is your heritage, without a doubt. But Minister, it is also the heritage of the United States. Without Israel, without the Jewish Foundation, there would not be an America. We owe our very existence.
What a load of shit. And like I posted a comment today. Oh yeah, everybody knows that when Thomas Jefferson signed the Declaration of Independence, he had his little hat on, right? I mean, it's just absurd. They're trying to rewrite history here now. A bunch of the founding fathers were deists and Freemasons, and some Christians as well. I don't believe any of them were of the aardvark faith, but these liars just keep spinning this BS. Oh, man, where are we at here? We're almost done with the show. Thanks for hanging with us on this Tuesday. On to, is Lebanon going to be a deal breaker? Their last 24 hours, here's footage out of Lebanon. They're leveling the joint. Showing you there another, where was that? Drone strikes target southern Lebanese city of Fandoun. Aardvark land drone activity and attacks continue across southern Lebanon all day today. So, bunch of different reports here about it. Heavy aardvark land attacks on areas. Populated areas. Here's some video you can see in the distance of the bombing campaigns continuing. So even Trump came out and said the truth, right? At the G7, said you can't just blow up whole buildings and neighborhoods and say everybody's Hezbollah there. I mean, come on. But they continue to do so, right? That's the excuse. Is there's a Hezbollah, or they use the six degrees of separation, the AI targeting kill chain, and say, well, somebody 6 links down the line talked to a freaking pizza delivery guy that talked to a Hezbollah, and so therefore we're going to whack you because you are Hezbollah, essentially, is what they're implying. And it's just BS. But they say, hey, we're not responsible. It was the AI automated system, all by design here now. According to the Lebanese health ministry, Since March 2nd, there's now 3,836 dead Lebanese and 11,851 injured Lebanese, and they want to go back home, but they keep getting warnings, don't go back home because you may be bombed there, as Aardvark land's not giving up the territory they've already seized in this latest surge to build out the greater Aardvark land project. Oh no, to get all the Hezbollahs. Here's dude yesterday, reporter Handy Hati. He took some reported on this yesterday, and now we do have some images. He took some shrapnel in the leg there as a systemic campaign targeting reporters, journalists there is ongoing. And so they targeted his vehicle for his reporting, his crime of reporting on the massacres. And he took the strike left him with 6 shrapnel wounds. You'll see that big one with a wound on his chest and both legs. And you see that big one on his leg that took stitches there. Both sides are losing. Just stop it. Stop it. Stop it. We need peace in Lebanon. Aardvark land military says 45 officers and soldiers have been wounded in fighting in southern Lebanon in the past 3 days. So all sides are suffering casualties, injuries. They're all going to have post-traumatic stress syndrome. It's horrific. War is hell. Stop it. We know they refuse to. They're hell bent on building the greater Aardvark land prophecy and fulfilling their evil divinity, right? That's what they tell us. That's what they tell us. So all sides are suffering here now. It's horrific. Aardvark land attacks kill 4 in southern Lebanon. Another report from earlier today, including a, quote, double tap strike. They do enjoy their, quote, double tap strikes there. And there's a video off in the distance of them bombing the hell out of the place and double tap strikes. And they're like, but they're still genociding the Palestinians. Yeah, they are. Here's to put a human face on them. And so we know they're all terrorists, but even these little kids, before they're blown apart by the IDF, they did seem like they wanted to live. They whacked this kid, and we reported yesterday the father and son there. Dead Palestinians, 6 Palestinians killed in Gaza yesterday, including 3 children, a woman, and the father there. Two Palestinian twin brothers, these 2 were killed in the last 24 hours. These 2 right here, Quds News Network reports. They're hit by a drone in a refugee camp in the Gaza Strip. As we continue to report, they're bombing the refugee camps. Literally, people living in tents. Over the past 24 hours, 5 Palestinians were killed and 8 others injured in attacks across Gaza. Since October 7, 2023, we've now broken the 73,000 threshold. 73,008 Palestinians have been killed, with 173,260 injured. And that's official numbers, and I do believe it's a lot higher than that, but we're going with these official numbers according to the Gaza Health Ministry, or Palestinian Ministry of Health. And it's way worse than that. As per usual, and as is their routine here now, what they're famous for. Aardvark land forces destroy Seoul water pipeline to occupied West Bank village. And so poison the well or just cut the well off altogether here now. The systemic targeting of critical infrastructure comes as the Aardvark land government expands its state-sponsored settlement enterprise across the occupied West Bank through a campaign of arson, land bulldozing, and military blockades, and cutting off the water supply and destroying whatever agriculture they have left there now. The destruction of Safara's water supply mirrors a broader lethal escalation across the occupied West Bank and surrounding areas since October 2023. Official Palestinian figures document that Aardvark land military and settler attacks have killed at least 1,169 Palestinians, wounded over 12,000 other Palestinians, and forcibly displaced 33,000 people. And there's not even a claim of Hamas terrorists in the occupied West Bank. The terror campaign of the ultra-Zionists, backed up by Aardvark land government, continues. Aardvark land is allocating millions of dollars to members of the extremist, quote, Hilltop Youth Settler movement under a government program officially framed as violent prevention, according to a report by Aardvark media outlet Ynet. The plan reportedly provides daily food and clothing vouchers worth $15 per person and allocates roughly $1.6 million through the end of the year to support around 657 settlers across the occupied West Bank. The Hilltop Youth Movement has long been linked to the establishment of illegal settlement outposts and attacks on Palestinians. Aardvark land government funding ultra-Zionist extremist settler group Hilltop Youth, indirectly using U.S. taxpayer money to terrorize Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, where there's no claim of Hamas even being there. Video of them bulldozing. They're bulldozing Palestinian houses in the occupied West Bank. They're leveling the place. That's the routine. I guess we'll show a little bit of the video. You'd see the backhoe up on top of the hill leveling a house. Is the systemic campaign that's ongoing. And then I think we have a final report here. Yeah, Smotrich, the finance minister out of Aardvark land. Aardvark land scraps key Hebron protocol provisions, places Ibrahim Mosque under full Aardvark land control. Again, provocateuring the Muslims to react, make a move, then they call them terrorists. Game on. Same routine. Aardvark land finance minister Smotrich announced that Aardvark land has canceled key provisions of the 1997 Hebron Protocol, stripping the Hebron Al-Khali Municipality and Islamic Endowments, AWQAF, of their planning and construction authority in the occupied city's old town and at the Ibrahimi Mosque. The decision approved by Aardvark land's Higher Planning Council following a security cabinet vote in February this year transfers all powers related to planning, construction, development, preservation, infrastructure, and accessibility in the Aardvark land-controlled areas of Hebron to Aardvark land authorities. The move also ends the municipality's role in providing services to Aardvark land settlers in the area under the Hebron Protocol signed by Aardvark land Prime Minister Bibi and PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat. As part of the Oslo process, Hebron was divided into H1, administered by the Palestinian Authority, and H2, which remains under Aardvark land military control and includes the Old City, the Ibrahimi Mosque, and Aardvark land settlements. Aardvark land officials presented the move as a historic correction that strengthens Aardvark land sovereignty in the occupied West Bank. The decision effectively places the mosque and surrounding Old City under full Aardvark land administrative control, marking one of the most significant changes to the Hebron's governance structure since the signing of the Oslo Accords. The cancellation represents a significant dismantling of the Oslo Accords that risks further annexing the West Bank and undermining the already dead two-state solution. Maybe somebody wants to tell, I don't know, Saudi Arabia. I'm sure they know, but they have to publicly say they back the two-state solution, right? To stop a riot there in Saudi Arabia by their own people. So, yeah. Well, they've already said they're taking it all, and you're not going to do jack about it, essentially, here now, led by Smotrich, Ben Gavir, and the crew, as we continue to report here at Weaponized News. All war crimes, crimes against humanity, it doesn't matter because this guy has that little hat on his head, so none of that matters. You see? All right, have they started shooting at each other in the Strait of Hormuz? I don't know. Let's check out the latest headlines out of Iran International. Anything breaking here that we have not covered today? Vance defends Iran-U.S. deal, rejects claims of direct $300 billion U.S. payment. Yeah, we don't know. We simply don't know because we don't have the actual MOU. We have leaks on the internet that are not 100% confirmed to actually be accurate. Senator Kaine says Trump's Iran war policy paved the path to war. Canada's Prime Minister calls U.S.-Iran ceasefire deal a game changer. Policy brief urges removal, not dilution, of Iranian uranium stockpile. Iran fires drones at commercial ships after U.S. agreement, U.S. official says. Vance defends Iran-U.S. deal. Yeah. Not a whole lot, not heavy fighting going on, which is good. Latest headlines out of Al Jazeera. Iran warns of a harsh response as Aardvark land strikes kill 4 in Lebanon. And so that's going to be the peace deal killer. Lebanon. Stop killing the Lebanese. I know it's hard for them. And we all want world peace, but they just can't seem to do it now, can they? They've said they're not going to do it explicitly. Can Trump and America? Where's little Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State? Where's somebody that can put these fools in check and tell them, stop it. We're sick of it. We're done. We're done. Right now, it appears to be hinging. The U.S.-Iranian peace deal appears to be hinging on stopping killing the Lebanese. Yeah, what does, headline out of Al Jazeera, what does U.S.-Iran agreement entail, ? We simply don't know. We simply don't know at this point. It's not 100% confirmed from any reports I've seen. Anyhow, the unconfirmed 14-point U.S.-Iran MOU to start talking about peace, that'll be posted up at, or you can just search the internet, I'm sure, and find it, but we'll also link to it at Weaponized News Substack. And that's all the reporting I got for today. Let's head over to the channels. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News, as we're hoping, praying for peace. Over to the Odysee chat now. Shout out to Odysee, John, Pink Vegas, Highland, Crema. Let's see here. What does John say? The World Cup, and yeah, Crema, I hear it too, like a short in Sam's mic. Sam's a bit crackly. Huh. Don't jump to believe the bit of white guilt story. I will bet if you do a bit of research, you will find some progressive aardvark behind probably. 20 years from now, idiots will claim Carmelo Anthony did not stab Austin Medcalf to death. Yeah. So there was no free speech back in 1913 either. There was not. And there is vilification of Muslims. They can't forget that are they Iranians. Pompeo spends a lot of time in Tel Aviv, the most pride-friendly city in the world, with the world's with the world's biggest pride parade. Shout out to Highland. John says, I heard Douglas McGregor suggesting we need a revolution, and he's a retired Army colonel. Macron is angry because Candace Owens exposes his wife as a man. Oh, man. Yeah, Pink Vegas says, aardvarks cry out in pain as they starve you to death. Indeed. Indeed. It's just so ridiculous at this point. They scream out in pain as they shoot you in the face as you're going up asking for some rations, right? As we've seen with the humanitarian project there in Gaza. Highland says he's bought me a few coffees. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Let's see. It's for real people that want a real community, so stay here. Nobody wants to pay $50 a year to have access to an amazing site. Odysee is all free. Everything's free. I'm just saying, throw some money in the kitty to help pay some bills over here. All right, guys. Thank you for the informative and cordial comments over there on the Odysee. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in on X, Kick, Substack, Bitchute, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Let's head over to these YouTube Rumble chats. Shout out to Ruckus, Mac, Burning on the YouTube, Fat Bob. Fat Bob on the Rumble. $33 million for a dead Iranian. What? Yeah. They're hard to kill. It costs a lot to kill Iranians. And I think once all the accounting's done, it's going to amount to even more than $33 million per dead Iranian. So we're going to have to kill a lot more Iranians to get that ratio in order with our maximization of lethality claim from the Department of War. Shout out to Denver, Bardo. Total Crock of S. Tim Pool is talking about how the left just tried to assassinate Trump. These people are pathetic propagandists and Hasbro dopes indeed there. Denver. I don't know how they have an audience who listens to this crap, but apparently a lot of people are brainwashed out there. No shot, it's 33 mil per Iranian. Snow, shout out to Snow, said ZO on the Rumble. They manufacture what they want the people to believe. It's not necessary for people to believe it. It's only necessary for people to accept it. Let's see. Devious on the YouTube says a memorandum of understanding is not a deal. It's an agreement to sit down to talk. Even Vance admitted that. Yeah. That's why we keep saying. I keep reporting that. It's a paper version of concepts of a deal. Yeah. You can believe this dude. He has a map. Well, we're trying to find the places that we talk about geopolitically on a map. And I always say, don't trust me. Do your own research. Shout out to A-Dub. Phoenix, since when does Hezbollah run Lebanon? I thought Lebanon had a government. They do. Lebanon does have a government. They're puppets of the United States. The only force defending the Lebanese against aardvark land aggression is Hezbollah, a militia group there. The Lebanese army's not doing it because they have a ceasefire allegedly, but they keep stacking Palestinian bodies. Luke, United Nations, depopulation, NWO. Let's see here now. We got some stars over there on the Facebook from Belkis. Shout out to Belkis. It's Gavin Newsom, Sookie. I do love those Gavin Newsom comparisons. Appreciate it. I've heard it before. Trust me. I do live in California, so. So do you agree with Iranian's constitution, which mandates exporting the Islamic Revolution to every nation on earth till the world is solely under Islam? Christ on the YouTube says, no. I don't even know if that's what it says, but if that's what it says, no, I don't agree with that. Do you agree with America, as our Constitution says, going on these illegal foreign war of aggression missions with no congressional approval? You support that because whatever weapons of mass destruction propaganda comes out? Let's see here, Lloyd. You full of S. Well, thank you for those wonderful comments there on the YouTube. Let's see here. Following politics is neurotic, Tom said. We can afford Ashkenazi occupation and wars. No, we can't. Let's see. Snow says the crisis is going to hit in the fall. Prep for winter. It's going to suck. They still not going to win though. Yeah. So a whole bunch of planting, right? A whole bunch of agriculture went offline due to limited inputs. And we're going to see that, like Snow says, come this winter. Blue, Iran keeps nuclear materials, just diluting it to civilian level. They keep their missiles. They get 24 billion. I won't call that the losing side. It's worse than Obama. We don't even know 100% again what the actual deal is. And the MOU is just an agreement to talk, but I guess they have to agree to the stipulations to even sit down to talk. And we don't 100% even know what those are yet. Literal Terminator, Snow said, yep. Yep. Literal Terminator, this thing kills Russians, so we should cheer it on, I guess. Denver says, F the two-party system of containment and enslavement. They enable this, and morons, they continue to believe in the two-party system. Still, yeah. The government is a crime syndicate. Whatever color hat you put on, it doesn't matter. All governments. It doesn't matter what flag, what country flag you wave. All governments are a crime syndicate, a la Operation Lockstep, a la the Bat Times. We just lived through it writ large. Everybody should be able to see it, but sadly, the majority do not want to see it. If America is a nation and a nation is its people, and if those people are replaced and will not exist any longer, then that means the nation dies with the people, America said there on the YouTube. Yeah. Smoke Trick is at large. Oh, man. Fun times. Yeah. Confirmed. According to New Scientist, autonomous drones, Terminator drones, their words, killed Russians 2 years ago. Just being reported now, a few days ago, in New Scientist magazine. So we're there. The next question is, can Skynet become self-aware? Is that even possible for these systems to become self-aware? They claim, as in Elon Musk, that we're near the singularity. So that's their claim, all the tech bros, that this is upon us. I still have reservations about if these systems can really become self-aware. That will be the point of no return for when Skynet becomes fully self-aware. You've seen the documentary Terminator, and don't think something near that would actually happen. Anyhow, wow, yeah, let's pray for peace and hope that, let's pray for Lebanon, that they stop the war in Lebanon so we can actually sit down and talk about peace with Iran. If they don't, I don't see it happening. Let's pray for peace. As always, everybody do your own research. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Weaponized News. We'll be back on Wednesday for more Weaponized News. Have a great rest of your evening, and